This clip is brought to you by SaveWithConrad.com.
I am too, man. WrestleMania 17, one of our most requested topics, and it's easy to see why. It's a sellout crowd here, 67,925 fans. They paid a gross of over $3.5 million. It did a 2.08 buy rate, which is around 900,000 buys. It's an all-time record for a wrestling pay-per-view. That's going to gross the company $13.31 million. And the actual live gate, which is $3,530,905, is the largest for a pro wrestling event outside of Japan, and more than doubled the previous American record set way back at WrestleMania 5 for that historic Hogan-Randy Savage match. The crowd, 67,925 fans, is going to be the 7th largest crowd up to that point. This is a big deal, you know, a huge, by any metric, it is a huge success. But there's so much happening with wrestling in this, I guess, 10-day period. Heyman's here because ECW's folded. And of course, we know that WCW went out of business just 6 days prior to this. You know, Vince took over Nitro, and now you guys are the only shooting match in town, and you've got two super white hot stars in The Rock and Stone Cold Steve Austin. I mean, would you guys have ever been able to forecast this type of success, or is it one of those things where the momentum gets going and before you know it, you're just accidentally there?
Well, you know, Rock and Austin are magic no matter where or when or how. And that was their second match of their trilogy they had. You know, they headlined WrestleMania 15, 17, and 19.
Yep.
Those two dudes. And so we knew it was going to be a special match, especially considering that was going to be the match where Austin really declared himself as a heel. I can tell you that for me, in my role as a head of talent relations, that was probably one of the most busiest and tumultuous times of my career because of the new influx of talent buying WCW. New talents are coming in. What are we going to do with everybody? It was really daunting. It was one of those 24/7 deals for a while. And that's the only regret I have. You know, I'd like to be able just to go to Houston and have one thing on my mind, and that's calling the matches at WrestleMania 17. But I had a lot of other things on my plate that had to be addressed that couldn't be pushed aside. Very timely and delicate issues, negotiating contracts, you know, talent want to know what you're going to do with them. You know, the only thing I could help them with is here's what you're going to make. So it was, I wish we had a little bit clearer path from my perspective, because there's a lot of stuff on my mind and other people's minds as well. But through all that stuff, we came up with a hell of a show. And the one thing that was exciting about it, Conrad, was the fact that we're going to go in a dome for the first time since '92. So it's been a long time. So that was a new adventure to do a dome show, and then it just go crazy. We could have sold a lot more tickets if we had room. It was a legit sellout, and one of the hottest tickets I've ever been around as far as pro wrestling was concerned.
No doubt about it. I mean, just the hype surrounding this and the media, and I don't know, it just feels like this is when the product was at its hottest and fanfare for the company was at its biggest. This might be, you know, people always talk about when was it at its peak. Is this the peak of WWE's run, do you think? I mean, it feels like from here it starts to go, you know, in a different direction. I'm not going to say necessarily downhill, but it doesn't feel like it ever captured the imagination and the dollars as well as it did here at WrestleMania 17.
Well, the captivating part, I think, was Rock and Austin.
Right.
And two once-in-a-lifetime talents that were on this great story that they were on and telling a story. And it, you know, it'd been, I don't know, it just was, I thought, amazing. Now, Austin, he didn't work with Rock at 15, did he?
Yeah, he did 15, 17.
Oh yeah. I said 15, 17, and 19.
Yeah.
I guess I'm thinking about
WrestleMania 2000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, it was really fun, but it might have been the peak. If it wasn't, we could see the peak, and it's just hard to get more talents over to the level that Austin and Rock were over. So I think you're onto something. It was somewhere there, and I guess it's hard to debate. It was the peak because we did 19 after 2 years after that with the same match, and if that would be today on social media, people would be bitching about it because I've already seen that. I've already seen that match. So you're gonna make me pay for it again? Yep. And they did. And they loved it. And it was Austin's last match. The missed opportunity there was nobody knew it was going to be Austin's last match. I've always said that if we had promoted it as such, that it would have even had bigger buy rates because this is it for Stone Cold. Win, lose, or draw, he's gone. But he didn't want to go that route. He didn't want that to be a part of the show. And so we respected his wishes and we never mentioned it. But I do think that was a missed opportunity from a marketing standpoint.
Right.
You know, to see Stone Cold for the last time. So then all of a sudden we had the match. We have, barely get it in the ring, so to speak. We couldn't put it on last because we weren't sure of Steve's health. And closed with Lesnar and Angle, which is great. But I think Steve and Rock just delivered like an amazing, which we'll talk about here momentarily. But it was a cool show. It was a cool show. I think the dome thing, to be in a dome was a real cool thing for a wrestling announcer. Oh, hell, me calling matches in the Irish O'Neill Boys Club in Shreveport before 50 or 100 people. This is a long way from there, boy. This was a long way from there. This is the closest thing we ever got to something like that was a couple of Superdome shows for Cowboy that actually did real well. So I look back at this event with a lot of fondness, quite frankly.
Well, there's a lot of stuff to really be excited about. I guess we should just briefly touch on the fact that, we mentioned it a moment ago, the Monday Night Wars are over. So this is the first WrestleMania in years where there haven't been Monday Night Wars, so to speak. WCW's done. You guys purchased them. On this particular show, we do see a cutaway of some WCW guys in a box there watching the event. As far as you remember, did you guys have a real plan for what you were going to do with this WCW asset, or were you so focused on, because I think we need to put this time in context. ECW's going down. You just purchased WCW. We're about to have the biggest WrestleMania ever. And oh, by the way, there's this thing called the XFL we're just starting. There's a lot of moving parts in the company. On WrestleMania week, there's probably not much time or effort or energy to talk about WCW because you've got to cater to this monster event, right?
Yeah, and we just knew that it was an opportunity to expose those talents, give them some face time, give them some awareness. I can close my eyes and look and see Booker T in that suite, for example.
Right.
It was an opportunity to get these new guys in WCW some positive exposure, and but past that, I don't know that we were that deep in the planning because, as you said, Vince is trying to launch the XFL. Yep. That's going to affect some of us. WrestleMania itself is a monster to promote and produce. And then you have the WCW buyout. As you said, the Monday Night Wars are now history. It was probably the most tumultuous and stressful time of my professional life, simply because there's so many major projects that were being launched or cultivated.
Hey, it's Conrad Thompson. Thanks for checking out the podcast here on YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell so you get a notice anytime we upload some new content. And go save yourself some money right now. If you're in a 30-year loan or you have credit card debt, it's not a matter of if I can save you money. It's a matter of how much. Find out right now for free at SaveWithConrad.com.